What are the signs of a supportive and kind boss or manager? I had a terrible experience at a well-regarded Melbourne design agency. The creative director was charismatic and positive in our interview and outwardly to everyone else, but ended up being an unpredictable, angry, and manipulative boss to his employees. Months after leaving, my self-worth is still severely affected, and I feel like my design career is stuck. So, this is a tough one because, and Tara and I were chatting about this just before coming on air, which is really hard to pick stuff like this up at interview stage. And, because at interview stage, I guess we're at the, trying to put our best selves in front of each other in order to either attract someone to a job or to get a job ourselves. So it's certainly very hard to pick at that stage. I think what's really interesting, though, is to remember, and we've had this on Asking for a Friend in the past, that you're interviewing each other. A lot of the time we think that, interviews are sort of one way, and it's like we're doing our best to try and get the job. But we should remember that it's as much about us trying to interview the person who is the employer as it is the other way around. So I think trying to think about that from that perspective and trying to go, look, is this someone that I want to spend a lot of time with? It's kind of very relationship driven, isn't it? There's those interviews are almost like a first date. Like, do I want to spend every waking hour with you? So I think that's an important one to sort of think. And so have a think about that. The other part is really do your research. A lot of people, I think, do research on jobs where they're looking at the kind of work that they do. Maybe they'll look at some of the people on LinkedIn, but we don't get anything from LinkedIn really, apart from, where people have been before and what their experience is. So one thing I would suggest is actually talking to, who's going to be your peers before you get there. So ask them what their experience is like, or in fact, even ask people who have worked there in the past. That's a really easy kind of reach out on LinkedIn to be able to go, hey, I'm thinking of getting or going for a job at this place. I noticed that you worked there in the past. What can you tell me about it? Because I think it's really key to try and find out like what that culture is like and, what the day-to-day looks like. So definitely reach out to others from that perspective. And I guess the other point is, and again, we've talked about this one before, but some people are just awful. We can't really help that. And I think, that does exist. But also some people just might be going through stuff. And so their erratic behavior can be a sign of other things in their life not going so well. And I think it's important to, wherever we can, to sort of treat people as humans and be able to go, hey, are you okay? Because you're behaving a little bit erratically or you seem a bit off. It might be they are off and you've got to move on. But it might be also that, maybe they'd appreciate the fact that you pointed it out and things aren't okay. In this instance, it does sound like, this person has moved on, which is good. Well done to you for making that decision, because you have to take control and do the right thing for you. I guess the slightly concerning thing is just like feeling that is still having an effect on you now. And like, your self-worth is still severely affected. I think one of the big things is just to, you can only control your own view of your self-worth, and, that person doesn't need to be in your life anymore. And you can find someone else who is a more inspiring boss and manager. And so I think it's really important to try and look at, being able to wipe that slate clean and be able to see whether there is someone now that you can look up to in a new job, and treat things a bit more positively going forward. So that's my point of view, but Tara will have excellent answers.
Well, there's a bit of pressure. I guess what I completely agree with everything that Andy said. As far as I'm concerned, when you're in an interview, you are interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. And I almost even take that one step further when it comes to like the probation period, because that's also their probation period. Yeah. And you have just as much opportunity to choose to move away from that industry, or maybe not the industry, but that organization during that time period as they have to move you on. So I think it it can be really, really helpful to see things that way. I know that it can be easier said than done in a lot of situations, especially if there's financial pressures where the idea of not having a job and however long it would take to find another job, that could be really quite stressful. And, there are some really great free resources and services out there to support financial management. The Barefoot Investor is my favorite human on the planet, as far as I'm concerned. And if anyone doesn't know who the Barefoot Investor is, he wrote really the most epic guide on how to manage your own personal finances. And also he talks a lot about there's a government phone line that he talks about a lot where they can provide you with financial counseling as well. So if you're in a tight situation and perhaps, finances are tight, you can talk to them about how you can manage things in the interim when you are perhaps out of work. So yeah, definitely grab that book, because the Barefoot Investor book is just the bomb.com as far as I'm concerned. However, what I guess this is mostly because I'm a psychologist. And so the first thing that I looked at was the last part, which was, this is still really impacting on me. And how am I going to, be able to move through this? And one resource, I'm just going to pop it here into the chat. Hopefully that came up. Yeah. So that's a PDF that you can just download from that link there. And it's called the Self-Esteem Journal. Now, I recommend this worksheet to every client all the time. It is such a valuable resource. And what you'll see when you download it and look at it, it actually has the days of the week. And then there's 3 sort of beginnings of a sentence on each day. So for example, if I just go to it now, on Monday, it says something I did well today. Today I had fun when, and I felt proud when. And on Thursday or Friday, it's something I did well today. I had a positive experience with, and I was proud of someone when. And so what I encourage clients to do is to answer each of those, like sort of fill in the blank of those sentences for their day. And rather than just, I felt proud when I got up, it's like, okay, you're great. Like, give some real detail into what was it about getting up that made you feel proud? Was it that you got up before your alarm and you were able to go and meditate? Or I was proud that I got up because I've been stuck in bed for the last 3 weeks experiencing depression, or whatever it is. Try and give as much detail in those answers as possible, because what I've seen in clients, and look, I can't guarantee any kind of outcomes here, but what I've seen in clients is those who do this regularly and for a number of weeks in a row, they actually start to notice that their mood increases, their self-esteem increases, and their self-confidence increases as well. So I would really encourage you to download this, print out a buttload of them, and just have them next to your bed or on your desk or whatever it is. And then at the end of the day, fill out the little answers to finishing the sentences, and just take note at how focusing on the actively helpful things and things that you can be grateful for in your day-to-day life are actually having on, your overall mood.
Excellent. If you're watching the recording, then that is therapistaid.com/worksheets/self-esteem journal.